essentially, water makes metal corrode and rust, essentially, right? And so as that rust settles off, it becomes sometimes activated. And so that'll be in this system, which is separate from this system. This is the steam system, with the steam engine part of the system that actually runs the turbines that house the ship. You guys, I'll go on to the other part. You guys all know that you're exposed to radiation every day, right? So the number that, the units that we use in RADCON in the Navy, RADCON is radiation control, that's what they call us, radiation, RADCON tech. The units that we use are different than the units that the civilian side uses, and they're probably different than what you've been taught in this classroom. So I'm going to leave the units off and just give you a really brief overview. You guys are exposed to about, well, I won't leave them off, but you guys are exposed to 300, and me are exposed to about 300 milligram per year. That's what we estimate, right? The federal limits that so we have to wear the TLD, which she's told you about, right? So the federal limit for exposure for us is 3 rem per quarter and 5 rem per year.
What is that? So, what does that stand for?
So that
TLD.
Means, REM stands for Rankin Equivalent Man. It's the biological dose, which is you'll have to forgive me. I just started this job 3 months ago, so I'm actually officially going off for training on Sunday.
But the TLD, is that total?
It's thermoluminescent dosimeter.
Oh, thermoluminescent dosimeter.
And so it records all the exposure that I'm exposed to at work, not the rest of my life, just at work, right? Because they want to know if I get cancer down the road, they want to know if they're liable to be responsible for that. So they assume the general public is exposed to 300 milligram per year, right? So being a radiation worker, you are allowed up to 5,000 milligram per year, right? Does that make sense to everyone? So, but our local limits at Portsmouth Naval Shipyard are 300 milligram per year. So I'm technically not allowed to get any more exposure at work than everybody else, right? So the risk is very, very small, which is the point that they're always trying to come to. Let's see. So, one of the questions you guys asked, I'm not sure if it was you guys.
It wasn't this class, but that's okay.
What happens with the reactors if something happens to the sub? There were a couple of questions. What if the sub blows up? Subs don't blow up unless they're hit by torpedoes. In which case, I just learned this yesterday because I was asking my supervisor. In an unpowered position, the reactor is in an off mode. So it takes power to keep the reactor working, right? So if the sub loses power, it defaults to off. Okay? So essentially if a torpedo were to hit the engine, well, not the engine, any part of the sub, sink it, it's going to default to lock itself in a safe position so that it won't leak. It won't leak, it won't have a meltdown, okay? It might leak a tiny bit of radioactive material, that crud that I was talking about, the rust in here that's activated. It might leak a little bit of that, but it's not going to have a major meltdown like Fukushima kind of stuff, you know what I mean? So that was a really cool thing to learn today, for me anyway. What else? Do you guys have any questions right now?
We didn't have a chance to brainstorm questions, but,
I'll try to hit some of the other questions.
okay.
Oh, another neat fun fact. Someone had asked how much radiation are the submariners exposed to. Submariners are actually exposed to less radiation than all of us. The reactor compartment is so shielded. You can see the reactor itself. I mean, this is just a rough sketch, but the reactor itself is very well shielded. And then, you know, there's even more shielding around it. Shielding is time, distance, and time, distance, material. Not sure. But water acts as a shield. So the submariners are so well shielded from the reactor inside of the sub. They don't get any additional exposure from the reactor, and they're actually shielded from the radiation either from everything around us. So submariner puts on the TLD, any of you put on the TLD, and yours is going to be higher than theirs is at the end of it. So that tells you a little bit about maybe almost out of time, but another.
I have a question. How long does the fuel last? Like, once a reactor is activated, does it kind of go forever, or?
These are engineered, the reactors on our subs are engineered to run for 30 to 40 years. We do have refueling procedures at the shipyard. When we do that, we have ridiculously high security Marines on top of the roofs with, you know, with guns, but able to use deadly force if they need to. So it's a pretty serious process. But yeah, they're engineered to run for 30 or 40 years. I think at about 25, we bring them in and try to refuel them. And then, what's the other thing I was just going to say?
I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Might be.